What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I wanted to do a deep dive on the Jets defense heading into next season. Now, obviously, they did not live up to expectations, specifically on the second half of last year, but I think with the addition of Aaron Glenn, a couple of these guys up in their game, I think this Jets defense will be significantly better than what we saw last season. But if you guys want to get the good vibes going in favor of the Jets defense and you want them to have a top 10 unit in the NFL next season, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. I put today's goal as 200 likes. So if you guys see we're not at 200 likes, please do so and hit that thumbs up icon. So I think the two biggest reasons why the Jets defense will improve is because of two players who need to have way better years than they did this past season. That being Sauce Gardner and Quinnon Williams. Now, both these guys, I think, are all-pro caliber players, but they did not have all-pro seasons this past year. But I think that will change with Aaron Glenn and just this whole new feel of the New York Jets. But PFF was talking about Quinnon Williams saying this: many players on the Jets defense will want to prove that the 2024 season was just a fluke. The unit, which was considered to be one of the best defenses in the league in previous seasons, if not the best, significantly underperformed. Williams was no exception. Across 2022 and 2023, he earned a 91.5 PFF overall grade, which ranked fourth in the NFL over that period behind only Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, and Aaron Donald. In 2024, his 69.6 PFF overall grade ranked only 28th among interior defenders. While he won 19.1% of his pass rush snaps in 23, his clip dipped to 14.2% in 2024. So hopefully we're going to get the best version of Quinnon Williams as he is entering year 7, which is crazy. It's unreal how fast these guys, grow up in the NFL. I still feel like I remember the video of Quinnen when he was doing a pre-draft interview and he sneezed and then he blessed himself and then he also thanked himself. It was one of the funniest clips I have ever seen. But I do think one of the biggest issues around the Jets, and specifically last season, was just missing tackles. And it's a simple thing. Like, it's an attention to detail thing. But both these guys were poor in that department. Quinnon Williams missing 26.8% of his tackles, and Sauce Gardner really bad here at the cornerback position, 17.5. And that was the one thing that stood out to me just watching a couple Jets games again last season was Sauce Gardner, especially in run support. He just couldn't tackle, and it really didn't seem like he wanted to give an effort there. But why I think that will change, and it's because of this guy, Aaron Glenn. Missed tackles won't be an issue with Aaron Glenn calling the shots for this organization. He also talked about training camp coming up. He wants to really up the physicality, and he said he wants to practice tackling, so that's going to just lead for a more physical training camp, and I think that's the right way to approach it, because how can you get better at something if you don't practice? Now, a lot of NFL teams, they will not let anybody go to the ground. I expect Aaron Glenn to let these guys finish a lot of these hits just because they need the reps. They need to do better than what they had last season. But here on Sauce Gardner. Now, the 2024 season was by far his worst in his short NFL career so far. But even back in 23-22, he was an all-pro corner for a reason. He was the undisputed best cornerback in the league. But after the season last year, like Pat Surtain, Derek Stingley, a couple of these guys have jumped him in the overall cornerback list. But I'm banking on Sauce Gardner getting back to his all-pro form. And, again, this has to do with Aaron Glenn. I don't think Aaron Glenn is just going to let Sauce Gardner not live up to his just natural ability he has. And he seems like he's got his mind in the right spot. So, really the biggest reason why I believe in this Jets defense, it's just the blue chippers. Sauce Gardner, Quinnon Williams. They will be better than what they were for that defense this past season. Now, the second reason here, I'm going to go Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks. Now, I honestly think Steve Wilks is kind of getting underappreciated in terms of just, defensive coordinator hires that that went down across the league this past season. But also Aaron Glenn. People aren't talking enough about Aaron Glenn being an elite defensive mind. Like, when people talk about the Bears, they're like, oh, Ben Johnson, he's going to change life over there offensively. But Aaron Glenn, I think he's going to do the same thing defensively for the Jets. Like, this should be one of the better units in the league. And could you imagine just a game planning room with Steve Wilks, Aaron Glenn? They're breaking it down, trying to come up with a scheme and a game plan to stop whatever offense it is. And then you add on all the talent they have there on that defensive side of the ball there in New York. Like, you got to assume this defense is going to be a whole lot better because of that guy, Aaron Glenn, between the ears. He is fantastic, one of the best coordinators in the league. And he did wonderful things for the Lions, especially that Lions defense. Like, I'll never forget that Week 18 game versus the Vikings. Vikings offense came in rolling. Lions defense was completely depleted due to injuries, and they still had a masterful game plan how to take out Justin Jefferson, take out a couple of the key players on the Vikings roster. And I think Glenn, he could just do that for the New York Jets. So I'll ask you guys this, a little fun question here. How many years will Aaron Glenn coach the New York Jets? Is he a one and done? Do you think it's going to be a disaster? Or do you think this guy could be the franchise head coach and he's coaching for 10 plus years? I'll give Glenn, I'll go south 7. I'll go south 7 years for Aaron Glenn. It could be a lot more, though. Who knows? But you guys let me know. How many years will Aaron Glenn coach the New York Jets? Number 3, I think the Jets have a lot of breakout candidates where, these guys may not be household names, but if they up their game, and I think they're in a good spot to do so, they could really become fan favorites. And I think the number 1 guy here has to be Andre Cisco. Now, one of the better ball hawking safeties we have in the National Football League. I feel like his talents weren't utilized the best when he was with the Jaguars, but with him coming to the Jets have an elite front 4, front 7. I think we should see Cisco to at least have a lot of opportunities to have a big interception season. Like, it would not shock me if he has 6, 7, 8 during this year. So watch out for a guy like Cisco, but even a guy like Brandon Stevens. If, obviously Ravens fans aren't the biggest fan of his game this past season, but you never know. With Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes, they could up their game as well. And just all these guys, like even Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, like if they have 10-plus sacks a year, which they very well could do so, like those are just some guys that could really up their play and turn this defense around next season. And also the rookies. I think obviously like Mason Taylor, Armand Membu, they get a lot of love in this rookie class. Even a guy like Arian Smith on the offensive side of the ball. But, 2 guys I'm really excited to watch this year is, number 1, being A.Z. Thomas. A.Z. Thomas, 6'1", 6'2" corner. He looks like he already has a pro body. He was doing fantastic stuff during minicamp and OTA so far. And if you could have him break out, him next to Sauce Gardner, maybe you pop Brandon Stevens in the slot, that cornerback room could look a lot better than as it does on paper right now. And a lot of pressure on this guy, but I think he could potentially have a massive year. And another guy who I think could end up starting, Malachi Moore. Now, Tony Adams slotted in to be that safety next to Cisco, but I think this could be, 2 or 3 weeks into the season where Aaron Glenn's just like, I just got to play the better football player, and that could be Malachi Moore. I love this pick. You took him in the 4th round, safety from Alabama. He's got great instincts. He's got great versatility. He was getting comparisons to a guy like Brian Branch. I don't know if he'll reach that level of play, but again, extremely versatile. Can play some linebacker, can play some nickel corner, but still, him at the safety spot, I feel like he could have a big year. And 2 guys on this Jets team, and who are just a backbone, and they really are, the leaders of this group, and that's Jamien Sherwood and Quincy Williams. Now, both these guys, I'm a massive fan of their games. They both fly around the football field. I mean, they are freak athletes, and they had monster seasons last year. Both of them going over 110 tackles, 2 sacks a pop from these guys, and they're pretty decent in coverage as well. But I mean, the TFL numbers are also ridiculous: 14 for Quincy and 10 for Jamien Sherwood. But they are both elite athletes. They both rally to the football extremely well, and they're going to be a big reason why. Because I will say, with the Jets' pass rush, I think their pass defense will be top tier in the league. But also their running defense, I think it's going to go as these 2 go. And if they're having great years like they've done over the last 2 seasons, I don't really think it's going to be, an issue whatsoever, considering you also got, Noddy on the inside, Quinnon Williams. Like, you have a bunch of guys that, if the Jets can just force these teams in the 2nd and 8 and then, 3rd and 6 situations, you just let guys like Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, pin their ears back and get home to the quarterback. Like, if they're able to do that, a big reason for that would be Jamien Sherwood and Quincy Williams. But hey, let's get the GOAT vibes going even more here. If you guys want the Jets to have a top 10 defense in the National Football League this upcoming season, give me a me down below in the comments section. We appreciate all of you guys watching today's edition of the Jets Report. See y'all next time. As always, go Jets.